Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome you all to the 2020 Light Up the Cathedral Pride Interfaith celebration. Normally, we would all be gathered at St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral to witness this lighting celebration, but tonight we do it virtually as we kick off the 2020 Pride Weekend. And although the format has been changed, our resolve for what this ceremony represents has not. Tonight brings together people of all walks of life, of all faiths, and of all orientations and identities. It is a light of inclusion, acceptance, and unity for LGBT community members wishing to worship. For the past 6 years, the very Reverend Penny Bridges and all of our faith leaders have built a service that truly represents the best of San Diego's welcoming spirit. And tonight, we will do the same. So on behalf of the entire city of San Diego, I wish everyone a happy virtual Pride Weekend.
Under the direction of Kathleen Hansen, the San Diego Women's Chorus will perform Circle Chant as we welcome the procession of faith to the cathedral.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle.
I am Bishop Susan Brown Snook of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego.
Reverend Brandon Robertson from Mission Gathering Christian Church in North Park.
The Reverend Mary Sue Brookshire, Pioneer Ocean View United Church of Christ.
I'm Reverend Dan Koshel, Senior Pastor of Metropolitan Community Church of San Diego.
Reverend Kathleen Owens, Lead Minister, First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego.
The Reverend Richard Lee, Priest in Charge, St. Mark's Episcopal, City Heights.
Reverend Sherry Mateer, Executive Director of Interfaith Worker Justice of San Diego County.
My name is Jeffrey Zlotnick, co-founder of the Dharma Bum Temple, a Buddhist temple here in San Diego.
I'm Corey Pasiniak, the pastor of Mary Magdalene the Apostle Catholic Community in San Diego.
Reverend Kirk Christensen, First Lutheran, San Diego.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Reverend Dr. Caleb Wines, the Senior Minister of University Christian Church Disciples of Christ, United Church of Christ.
And hello, everyone. I'm Reverend Jessica Strisco. I'm the teaching pastor of the Water's Edge Faith Community.
My name is Trudy Robinson, and I am the lead pastor of the First United Methodist Church of San Diego.
I'm Minister Monica Bradley.
Welcome to Light Up the Cathedral for Pride 2020, a virtual interfaith Pride celebration. St. Paul's Cathedral is proud to be a partner of Pride every year as we celebrate our freedom to be fearlessly who God made us to be. A word of introduction. My name is Penny Bridges. I serve as the Dean or Senior Pastor of St. Paul's Cathedral. We are the cathedral or the mother church of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego, and I bring you greetings from our bishop, the Right Reverend Susan Brown Snook, who will give the blessing at the end of this service. The Episcopal Church, a Christian denomination active in 17 countries, has a long tradition of supporting the struggle for human rights. Our leadership includes women and LGBTQ persons at every level. At the same time, we honor the beautiful and ancient traditions of liturgical worship. The cathedral's mission is to love Christ, serve others, and welcome all, and we really mean all. If you're looking for a San Diego community that works at loving all our neighbors, St. Paul's can offer you a spiritual home. Our numbers include a significant LGBTQ membership, including church leaders and clergy, and we are ready to officiate at baptisms, weddings, and funerals, regardless of gender or orientation. We are deeply grateful to the Pride leadership for allowing our annual Light Up the Cathedral celebration to be an official event of Pride Week. Pride is one of our biggest celebrations every year, and on Sunday we will hold our liturgical celebration. Online, of course, this year, as we're not yet ready to gather in person. We've continued to gather online throughout the pandemic for worship, fellowship, and education. Whoever you are and wherever you find yourself in the journey of faith, you are welcome at St. Paul's. 6 years ago, I conceived the idea of lighting up the cathedral to make us a literal beacon on Bankers Hill. Thanks to many generous donations, we made this vision a reality. And our lights shine out almost every night of the year, changing color to acknowledge seasons, holidays, and major world events.
The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who walked in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined.
Light is more important than the lantern. The poem more important than the notebook.
Now, under the direction of Lindsay Denton, the San Diego Queer Youth Chorus, in concert with Jason Mraz, will perform 93 Million Miles.
All right, everybody, get your wishes ready.
From the sun, people get ready, 'cause here it comes, it's a light, a beautiful light, over the horizon into our eyes. Oh my, how beautiful, beautiful, oh beautiful mother, she told me, son, in life you're gonna go far, If you do it right, you'll love where you are. Love where you are. Just know, wherever you go, you can always come home. You can always come home. 240,000 miles from the moon, we've come a long way to belong here. To share this view of the night, the glorious night. Over the horizon is another bright sky. Oh my, how beautiful. Oh my, irrefutable Father told me, son, sometimes it may seem dark, but the absence of the light is a necessary part of where you are. Just know, wherever you go, you can always come back. You can always come home. You can always come home. You can always come home. You can always come back. Always come home. Always come home. Every road is a slippery slope. There is always a hand that you can hold on to. Looking deeper through the telescope, you can see that your home's inside of you. Just know, wherever you go, no, you're never alone. You will always get back. You can always come home. 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 $93 million miles from the sun. People get ready, 'cause here it comes. It's a light, a beautiful light, over the horizon into our eyes.
San Diego Free Chorus.
God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good.
Thanks be to God.
The Lord is my light and my salvation.
Whom then shall I fear?
The Lord is the strength of my life.
Of whom then shall I be afraid?
You, O Lord, are my lamp.
Holy One, you light up my life.
Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Eternal has dawned upon you. For behold, darkness covers the land, deep gloom enshrouds the people. But over you the Eternal will rise, and God's glory will appear upon you. Nations will stream to your light, and rulers to the brightness of your dawning.
The San Diego Creative Arts Project presents Together We Rise. Our Light Up for Pride keynote speaker this year is the Reverend Naomi Washington Leapart. She's currently the Director for Faith-Based and Interfaith Affairs for the City of Philadelphia. Previously, she served as the Faith Work Director for the National LGBTQ Task Force, the country's oldest national LGBTQ justice and equality group. Reverend Washington Leapart earned her Master of Divinity degree from Lancaster Theological Seminary and was recently named an LGBTQ Faith Leader to Watch by the Center for American Progress. St. Paul's is honored to host her in our virtual pulpit, not only for this keynote address, but also for this Sunday's Cathedral Pride celebration.
I've had enough. I'm sick of seeing and touching both sides of things. Sick of being the damn bridge for everybody. Nobody can talk to anybody without me, right? I explain my mother to my father to my little sister to my brother to the white feminists to the black church folks to the ex-hippies to the black separatists to the artists to my friends' parents. Then I gotta explain myself to everybody. I do more translating than the goddamn UN. Forget it, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of filling your gaps, sick of being your insurance against the isolation of your self-imposed limitations. Sick of being the crazy at your holiday dinners, sick of being the odd one at your Sunday brunches, sick of being the sole Black friend to 34 individual white people. Find another connection to the rest of the world. Find something else to make you legitimate. Find some other way to be political and hip. I will not be the bridge to your womanhood, your manhood, your humanness. I'm sick of reminding you not to close off too tight for too long. I'm sick of mediating with your worst self on behalf of your better selves. I am sick of having to remind you to breathe before you suffocate on your own fool self. Forget it. Stretch or drown. Evolve or die. The bridge I must be is the bridge to my own power. I must translate my own fears, mediate my own weaknesses. I must be the bridge to nowhere but my true self. And then I will be useful. These words are the bridge poem, written by Donna Kate Russian. This image is from an art exhibition called This Bridge Called My Back, or the never-ending labor of creating space to move past the isms. This exhibition features Ada Pinkston, a Baltimore-based Black artist who, for a period of 4 hours, copied down a text from the book 100 Years of Lynching, while recorded footage found online of police brutality was projected on a loop. For 30 minutes of that time, Pinkston laid across 2 chairs, making a bridge with their body. Over the past several weeks, I've watched as Black people lay across the chasm between white supremacy and human abolition. I myself have received the emails, the text messages, the phone calls that ask me to translate and interpret this moment, this national convergence of death by COVID-19 and death by racial terrorism. And I'm worried. I'm worried because this reflects that sad, enraging reality that so many of us only become visible when we glow with suffering. So many of us win a seat at the table only when our blood is the drink and our flesh is the meal. This is true in movements for racial justice, and unfortunately, I think it's true in movements for LGBTQ plus justice. Black trans identity is only named to punctuate a sentence about the plight of trans people, the alienation, the violence. The words of queer Latinx prophets are whispered only with reverence in retrospect. I wonder how many of us have asked, in so many words, the queer and trans folks we are in community with to offer us their sorrows, their pain, their traumas as yeast to the movement to make it rise. I wonder how many of you listening wince when you go to touch your own back, because for so long your back has been mistaken for a bridge. This passage that I'm going to read from my sacred text helps me to face these difficult questions. Here's the passage. Jesus left that place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Just then, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented." But he didn't answer her at all. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away. She keeps shouting after us." He, Jesus, answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." Jesus, answered, "It isn't fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord. Yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table." Then Jesus answered her and said, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed instantly. One of my mentors and colleagues, the Reverend Dr. Will Gaffney, a Hebrew Bible scholar, taught me this: everything right is not necessarily biblical, and everything biblical isn't necessarily right. So I approach this story and the notion of bridge being and bridge building with this Black woman's suspicion in mind. Usually Jesus is the hero, Jesus is the focus, but I want us to spin that for a minute to repeat what actually just happened. Jesus is minding his business, finally able to find a few minutes or a few hours of respite from the crowd that stayed on his heels all the time. And this woman, yet unnamed, but still labeled, interrupts his Sabbath. The text calls her a Canaanite woman from that region. Perhaps Naomi's translation might say, a Black queer woman from a strange neighborhood. Her daughter is sick. She needs help. She's in pain. Nobody has listened to her. Time is running out, and she finds Jesus. She pleads. She screams. She shouts, "My daughter's life matters. Please have mercy on us." And the disciples chime in. "Can't you plead more softly? Don't you know now is not the right time? This isn't the right way. Shouldn't you make an appointment? Write a letter, call your elected official?" Jesus, his answer is, "Well, what about all the other sick children I came to see? Don't their lives matter too? Get in line." Stop. Wait, what? Perhaps the woman like me would have thought, clearly I misheard. Jesus didn't just dismiss me. Perhaps she makes some adjustments. She softens her tone. She lowers the volume of her voice. She lifts her hands up in surrender, and she smiles. Again, she pleads. But Jesus says, "It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." Wait, what? This is the line that snaps me back into reality. It forces me to remove my rose-colored glasses to see what we are actually dealing with, what we are dealing with when we say we want to dismantle white supremacy, when we declare that all Black lives matter. Perhaps we're dealing with something more sinister than we think. Something way down there in the valley of our movement. This idea that not all of us deserve liberation. That's the first point I want to make. We are not simply fighting for policy change. That's mountaintop work. No, we are reckoning also with the centuries-old idea that some folks are children and some folks are dogs. That is the valley work required to rise together as a movement. That's getting down into the crevices and pulling up the weeds that threaten to choke the seeds that we're now trying to plant. The soil won't be ready until we pull up those weeds. If we're going to rise together as a movement for LGBTQ justice, if we're going to be a proud people, we must quit trying to till toxic soil. We must be courageous enough to admit that we have set some rules and certain regulations around liberation. based upon what we consider to be winnable. We've asked some people to choose between your commitment to racial justice and your commitment to LGBTQ plus justice. We have asked some people to wait, to tone it down, to be perfect before they can be free. But the thing about weeds is they come back every time. And in the same way, toxic ideas don't just die because we want them to. They just hibernate until next season. So I wonder, can our movement go into the interior, into the valley, and uproot the mess under there? This is the hard work we must do. And then this woman, she's already exhausted. She's already depressed. She's already weeping. She musters up enough something to clap back. She says, "Yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat from the crumbs that fall from the master's table." She so desperately wants to protect her future, her fruit, her child, her love, that she allows this characterization of her to stand. She will submit to the humiliation of this moment, even if it means shame, because Jesus might just see her and hear her if she does. How many of you have settled for being visible because being known and being respected felt so impossible? How many of you have felt forced to accept what Dr. Christoph Ringer, who is a theologian and ethicist at Chicago Theological Seminary, calls the logic of sacrifice? That perhaps a little indignity, a little pain is necessary to make your life legible, acceptable, legitimate to other people. That perhaps your suffering is the substance that will convert the one who has taken a knee on your neck. After the woman clapped back and contorted herself to Jesus's argument, Jesus used his power, and I believe used his newly developed analysis to give her what she came to get. The healing did come, but at her expense. Justice finally rolled down, but not like water, more like fire, scorching everything along the way. Everything biblical ain't right. And what happened to this woman as she sought healing and wholeness wasn't right. I wish I could say it to her, but I'll tell you instead. Your humiliation is not the path to somebody else's transformation. Your pain is not the conscience of the LGBTQ plus movement. Your suffering is not a lighthouse that makes wokeness possible. Your back is not anybody's bridge to deeper understanding. It's not your obligation to be consumed so that others can feel full. As one Twitter user named Clay wrote, Black trauma is not a portfolio piece. Death should not be what activates our collective humanity. What bridge building and bridge being often do is replace the redemption of the ones who have been hoarding the power above the liberation of the ones whose power was stolen. So what now? What now then? How can we rise together without using each other as yeast? How can we move beyond being visible according to our woundedness to being known and respected simply because we exist and we are God's beloved? If pride doesn't need pain to grow, then what is possible? Well, I just have some questions. What if we embrace the idea that pride is a lifestyle of resistance, not a spectacle of pain? I know the word lifestyle has been used against us, but I want to use it here to describe what I mean. What if we made the case for our own right to exist and to be free and to love and have the mundane things of life and the sublime things of life by living for ourselves and not for other people. That's a lifestyle. What if we stopped putting on and taking off solidarity like a coat and instead broke the boundaries and boxes that separate us from having everyday meaningful relationships with the people that we say we're marching for? That's a lifestyle. What if we resigned from the full-time job of translating ourselves and instead focused on getting free from the shame that keeps us from blooming, that is currently allowing us to accept humiliation? That's a lifestyle. What if we refuse to allow queerness to be made exotic and instead let ourselves be human, to have lives full? That's a lifestyle. I want to get out of the transactional and get into the lifestyle of pride, the resistance of choosing joy, choosing intimacy, choosing myself. I don't want to win. I want to be whole. Would you join me in being whole? And together we will rise.
Thank you, Reverend Washington Leapart, for your inspiring words. Now, under the direction of Kathleen Hansen, once again, the San Diego Women's Chorus, performing Better Times Will Come.
When this world learns to live as one, oh, better times will come. We'll be greet each dawn without fear, knowing loved ones soon will be near. When the winds of war cannot blow anymore, oh, better times will come. Better times will come. Better times will come. When this world learns to live as one, oh, better times will come. Though we live each day as our last, we know someday soon it will pass. We will dance, we will sing in that never-ending spring. Oh, better times will come. Better times will come. Better times will come. When this world learns to live as one, oh, better times will come. Better times will come. Better times will come. When this world learns to live as one, oh, better times will come. Oh, better times will come.
Reverend Kathleen Owens. Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God.
Words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war, that the daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe the unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word.
It's my great honor now to introduce a shining light of San Diego, Fernando Lopez, Executive Director of San Diego Pride, who will present the 2020 Light of Pride Award.
Good evening. My name is Fernando Lopez. I'm the Executive Director of San Diego Pride, and I use they, them, their pronouns. Every year, San Diego Pride partners with St. Paul's Cathedral to host this beautiful interfaith celebration, Light Up the Cathedral. And it's quickly become one of my favorite events every single year as we come together and give intentional space to our interfaith's connection to social justice and our work in support of the LGBTQ movement and a world free of prejudice and bias. Thank you, Dean Penny Bridges, and everyone at St. Paul's Cathedral, and to Bob Lay and Susan Jester for coordinating such an incredible event every single year. This year's Pride theme is Together We Rise, a call to unity in a world that has been divided. The challenges that the year 2020 has brought us have tested us individually, as a community, as a nation, and a species. Brought into the light this year have been disparities in our healthcare system, employment, education, immigration, voting, and law enforcement. In our sea of challenges this year, we have also seen victories and joy. We have witnessed the insightful creativity and altruism of our humanity as we attempt to combat a global pandemic while still finding ways to support one another and connect with each other. We've also seen historic wins at the Supreme Court that uphold the rights of our LGBTQ community and immigrant communities. We've also raged in the streets as we've called for social justice and called for action to address the deep disparities that still exist within law enforcement's treatment of our Black, brown, transgender, and LGBTQ communities. But we have been called together to act, and we have been called together to heal. This year's awardee was selected in February for his work to heal, to mend, to educate, and inspire love. Reverend Dr. J. Lee Hill, Jr., Senior Pastor of the Christian Fellowship United Church of Christ, has been a vocal champion for our LGBT community within his congregation. Tonight, we honor the work of Reverend Hill in recognizing God's call to work for the rights and dignity of all people. We celebrate his efforts when in 2017, the Christian Fellowship United Church of Christ voted to become an open, affirming, and accessible church, welcoming persons who are disabled, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender into full participation, leadership, and ministry of the growing congregation. In addition to his duties as senior pastor, Reverend Hill also serves as the Interfaith Justice Coordinator and convener of the Interfaith Justice Coalition of San Diego, a collective of diverse religious leaders and allies who feel called by their respective religious traditions to work for justice and collaborate with other justice-oriented groups around the country. The Light of Pride Award was created to honor faith leaders and religious organizations for their persistent and sustained efforts to use faith as a powerful tool in the fight for social justice for the LGBTQ community. The Light of Pride Award recognizes faith leaders and organizations who are making significant contributions to the LGBT community through their valuable time, inspiring words, and critical actions. Isaiah 1:17 tells us, "Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, and plead the widow's cause." Pastor, preacher, scholar, cultural critic, public theologian, social justice activist, husband, father, and Light of Pride 2020 awardee recipient. San Diego Pride and St. Paul's Cathedral recognize the work of Reverend Dr. Hill and the Christian Fellowship United Church of Christ for his efforts to do good, seek justice, and correct oppression with and for our LGBTQ community. Reverend Dr. Hill, it is an honor to recognize you with the 2020 Light of Pride Award. Thank you, congratulations, and together we rise.
Thank you so much, San Diego Pride, and thank you so much, St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral, for this very beautiful Light of Pride Award. And thank you, friends, who make up the beautiful rainbow of diversity here in San Diego. I am very honored to receive this award in acknowledgement of the bridge building work that has long been a part of the ministry to which I have been called. I am honored to receive this award this evening, not simply as a means of celebrating, but encouraging the collective work for social justice in the LGBT community, and to remember the beautiful and colorful way that God has created each of us in God's own divine image. Friends, the times remind us that there is still so much more work that needs to be done, that there is still so much learning and unlearning that needs to be done, that there is so much more that faith communities can do to not simply welcome, but to affirm and celebrate persons who are LGBTQI in the life of their communities. And what we've come to realize at Christian Fellowship United Church of Christ in Southeast San Diego, and in partnership work that happens in the public square through Alliance San Diego and the Interfaith Justice Coalition and other partners that join in our collective struggle for justice and freedom and liberation, is that we don't have to do this work alone, that there is strength in numbers, and that the power of community and the power of love is able to melt even the hardest of hearts. And to this end, we are reminded that God has not left the world without a witness. And so may that God, called by innumerable names, be pleased with our love-drenched collective work and our hope-filled vision for tomorrow, for justice, love, and liberation. Thank you again, St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral, and thank you again, San Diego Pride, for this beautiful reminder of our work. Have a good evening, and God's blessings be upon you all. Thank you.
Won't you join me in our responsive song of praise? Be joyful in the Lord, all you lands.
Serve the Lord with gladness and come before God's presence with a song.
Know this, the Lord is God.
God has made us and we belong to God. We are God's people and the sheep of the Lord's pasture.
Enter God's gates with thanksgiving. Come into these courts with praise.
Give thanks to God and call upon the name of the Almighty.
For the Lord is good, with mercy that is everlasting.
And God's faithfulness endures from age to age.
My name is Jeffrey Zlotnick, co-founder of the Dharma Bum Temple, a Buddhist temple here in San Diego, and I'd like to share with you a poem from Rumi titled Gazing at the Light. Gazing at the light, the lamps are different, but the light is the same. So many garish lamps in the dying brain's lamp show. Forget about them. Concentrate on the essence. Concentrate on the light. In lucid bliss, calmly smoking off its own holy fire, the light streams towards you from all things, all people, all possible permutations of good, evil, thought, passion. The lamps are different, but the light is the same. One matter, one energy, one light mind, endlessly emanating all things. One turning and burning diamond. One. Ground yourself, strip yourself down to blind, loving silence. Stay there until you see you are gazing at the light with its own ageless eyes. Thank you.
And now Marshall Voigt from Temple Emmanuel will sing Look to the Light.
Hi friends, my name is Marshall Voigt. I lead music at Temple Emmanuel of San Diego. It is a real honor and privilege to have been asked to participate in this year's Light Up the Cathedral for Pride event, digital event. And we're going to get going with singing a song together in just a moment. But first, I want to send a special shout out to my friend, Reverend Lee Hill. Lee, it has been a pleasure to work with you and get to know you and stand alongside you in so many social justice struggles that you have led over these last many years in San Diego. So congratulations and mazel tov to you on your award tonight. Let's sing a little bit. It's a new day dawning. Seems like things just still ain't right. It's a new day dawning. Let's take a bath in the fresh sunlight. Don't feel no sorrow. Finding your way ain't easy to do. It's a new day dawning. So look for the light. Look for the light. Light a candle tonight. Then look to the light. Look to the light. In the struggle for freedom, tyranny tries to exert itself, but tyranny weakens. In the end, justice will prevail. Down through the ages, I hear the echoes of who I am. I hear the echoes. So I look for the lights. Look for the lights. Light a candle tonight. Then look to the light. Look to the light. It's a new day dawning. Time to remember days gone I heeded the warnings. So look for the light. Look for the light. Light a candle tonight and look to the light. Look to the light.
Friends, I'd like to invite you to join us for a responsive prayer. I will say a line, and then you will join Jessica in saying, "Divine light, shine in our hearts." Will you pray with us? God is light, and in God there is no obscurity at all.
Divine light, shine in our hearts.
Blessed is the Lord who has heard the voice of my prayer.
Divine light, shine in our hearts.
In the Lord have I taken refuge.
Divine light, shine in our hearts.
I have set the Lord always before me.
Divine light, shine in our hearts.
Amen.
Amen.
Grant us, Holy One, the lamp of love which never fails, that it may burn in us and shed its light on those around us, and that by its brightness we may have a vision of that holy city, where dwells the true and never failing light. Amen.
Almighty One, you created us in your own image. Grant us grace to fearlessly contend against evil and to make no peace with oppression, and that we may reverently use our freedom. Help us to employ it in the maintenance of justice in our communities and around among the nations. To the glory of your holy name, and let us say, Amen.
May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God lift up the divine countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Susan. Now, under the direction of R.C. House, the San Diego Gay Men's Chorus will perform Happy.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that can go to space. In the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way.
2020 has already been a remarkable year. We have all suffered from the physical, emotional, and economic effects of an unprecedented worldwide health crisis. At the same time, the LGBTQ community has come under attack from the very government whose purpose is to protect all the people of this nation. And the long festering sore of racism has burst into the open and exposed the structures that have oppressed minorities, and especially Black Americans, for centuries. But in the midst of all this pain, we have come together in love and compassion. We have recognized the intersectionality of communities of color and of sexual diversity. And we have witnessed amazing acts of neighborliness and generosity, proving the resilience of the human spirit. We can rise again from this dark time, and together we will rise. The God whom I worship is the God of justice and compassion, a God who loves every living being. We follow our God as we move forward on the long and slow arc to justice. As we come to the end of tonight's celebration, and before I actually light up the cathedral outside, I want to say a word of thanks to all my colleagues in the faith community who participated in this service, to our wonderful speaker, Naomi Washington-Leaphart, to our musicians and dancers who lifted us up, and congratulations again to the Reverend J. Lee Hill of Christian Fellowship United Church of Christ. And finally, thank you to Fernando Lopez, Bob Lay, Susan Jester, and the entire Pride organization for allowing the faith community to be a part of Pride. Each of us is a beloved child of God. And we faith leaders appreciate the opportunity to share that message with you every year. As together we rise. Happy Pride.